February 21st, 1974, says CB to me. I don't really think I knew her at all well, and maybe not even much of her work when I first met Carol Burnett. That was not meant to rhyme. And yet when I did meet her, it felt more like affection than acquaintance. She has a quality that strikes other people that way, and it certainly did me. And people even seeing us together said there seemed to be a chemistry between us, and I would probably make some crude joke like, yeah, that's all. I've always adored her. I've never seen her have a phony moment off stage. A genuine woman with a giant talent. We sing together on this, you'll be pleased to know. And if you have the sort of DVD that skips things, this might be the time. But it's really fun. It was fun singing with her. And she was moved a bit, as you'll see, when she first heard my voice. Carol Burnett.
The Dick Cavett Show. With special guest, Carol Burnett. Ladies and gentlemen, Dick Cavett.
Thank you, and let's all hope that this one gets on. Now, I guess you may know what I'm referring to, and I ran into a spot of trouble, you might say, as they say in England, with a show I did some time back, and it was not aired. You probably read about it in your papers. The network felt that it needed more balance of opinion in it, and I felt that it had enough balance of opinion in it, so at least there was a balance of opinion on that subject, if nothing else. But very delicate negotiations are going on right now, so I don't want to say too much about it. All I can say is it might be my next show, but I don't know at this moment, which is complicated. But by the end of tonight's show, a little voice, like an announcer's voice, or mine, perhaps, could tell you over the air into your living room whether or not it will be the next show, mightn't it? Now, I don't know yet, but I'm not here now, as you know. Because I appear to be standing here, and to you at home I am, of course, here now, but I'm actually somewhere else, which raises the question why you can hear me. But I think you know what I mean. Due to the miracle of tape, a voice could be laid in that will say, Dick's next show, or stay next 2 weeks from now, something like that. Anyway, I'm here, even though it looks like I'm elsewhere, I'm here. There was a moment in the negotiations I could share with you. I said, that nobody said when I did Gerald Ford that needed administration views. That went on back and forth. And I said I was going to do 90 minutes with Carol Burnett. I assume now I'll have to do half the show with an unfunny woman. And there was hollow laughter, not unlike your own. And, anyway, yeah, you can switch the card now if you finished it. Let's see. Anyway, that balance problem, put it out of your mind. Don't worry about it. It hasn't changed anything. The band was going to play It Ain't Necessarily So, but now they're going to play It Ain't Necessarily So. But on the other hand, it might be. For keep everybody happy, Carol Burnett has threatened to sing with me tonight. Plus sign stack. And I think she will. There are people to whom my singing is the central experience of their lives. These are sick people, but we'll be back with the great Carol Burnett after this message. Stay with us. We'll be right back. chair in less than a... How do you do? Really, my only guest tonight has been called a lot of things like America's female Charlie Chaplin and Rubber Face and a lot of silly stuff. Judging by her Nielsen ratings and by the awards that this country heaps upon her frail shoulders, it seems that she is obviously one of the most beloved entertainers I know of. She's had 3 Emmys, 6 Emmy nominations. She actually picked up an Emmy of mine once. 6 consecutive Fame Awards as the best comedian, the LA Times Woman of the Year, and so on and so on. She has made me laugh a million times. I don't know anyone I like better than Carol Burnett. What are we doing here?
Well, bottle them up and take them back home. That's terrific.
Yes. How tacky of you to bring those buses of people in from California like that.
It cost a fortune.
These people have been waiting, and they've been through heck.
They have.
Yes, waiting for this show tonight. But now here we are, and they're
Out of cigarettes?
Out of cigarettes. Do you want to try singing that later?
Which one? Oh, here we are.
Isn't there a song like that?
There is, what's it called?
Here we are.
Isn't it Two Sleepy People?
Yeah, Bob Hope did it in a movie, I think, or something.
You guys know that? Okay,
Well,
maybe
we'll come to that
try it
later. When everyone's left. You are maybe the coolest person I know. I've been around you.
Me? You're putting me on.
No, really.
Cool.
No, I've told you this, I think, once that time I came.
I am so nervous.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
I've never seen... Now, when I sit here and do the show, I can often see muscles twitching in the faces of the guest. It's a miracle. It doesn't show up on camera. And your face is a picture
a massive muscles twitching. I know.
No, I don't believe there's a nerve in you. I saw your show taped once, and it was the calmest place.
I'm very nervous. The thing is, though, that my mouth is so big, it covers all kinds of twitching. It's all twitching inside.
But we trust each other, don't we?
Yes, I do trust you. Yes.
Why do you touch my person constantly?
Well, I don't do it constantly. I do it
Well,
whenever I get the chance, which is only when I'm on his show, folks.
Oh, yeah.
That was it.
But there is something... I would trust you, you trust me.
Yes,
I have
I
a
do.
feeling that we could talk easily without fear of embarrassment.
All right,
on stage
what do you
or
want
off.
to talk about?
I sat down, I wrote down I told you I'd write down a list of 100 things I wanted to know about you, and I
Yes.
got to 78.
Only 7?
I got 78 things that I wanted to know about you, and then I tore up the list. I thought we should just talk, but
All right.
I don't want this to be an unpleasant evening for you.
It's
in any way.
so far been terrific.
How did you lose your virginity?
When I was a nun in the Alps.
I'm afraid I see. I think I better... I don't want to think about it. I don't know why I did that.
I was very pure all my life till I got married. I never fooled around.
Oh, you don't have to answer this.
Oh, well, you asked.
Well, that's nice. It's only the second time in my life I've ever asked that
Betty
question.
Davis, you asked.
You've seen this show.
I watch you, yes, I do. You
Even
asked,
when you're not
you
on
asked
it,
Betty
you see.
Davis, and
she said, "I'll tell you."
She gave you the same answer I did. In fact, she and
Yeah.
I had the same fella.
This is getting too much for me.
Too
I'm not
rough.
even supposed to be up this late. Seriously, let's see, what could we talk about? How did Harvey Korman lose his? Maybe we could talk about that. It's a funny thing about that. People ask me that constantly in the audience
How Harvey
cards.
Korman lost his virginity.
No, not that. But people, I don't know why people are interested in such things. And
Well, sex is interesting.
do you find it so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
What's the next question?
I don't know. Hey, I have a feeling we have a number of things in common. Did you play as a kid? Or did I... No, see, they can't change the subject. We
Right.
can't. Did you play, or did I read this about you, play the movies you saw as a kid?
Yes, I did.
I did that.
I grew up in Hollywood. I was born in Texas, and we moved out to Hollywood, my grandmother and I, when I was 7. The movies, that was it. Let's go to the show. So I would, my grandmother and I, to beat the prices, we'd hit the movies before 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Then I could get in for 12 cents or something. Lie about my age. I was this tall when I was 12, and sneak in, you know. And I saw 8 movies a week. There were double features. We'd go out 4 times. And we'd play Keno at one of the theaters. Once I won $5, but I was absolutely enamored of the movies in the late 40s. So I'd come home and I'd play Betty Grable or Joan Crawford or Betty Davis.
Yeah.
We had this vacant lot about 3 blocks from where I lived in Hollywood, and all of us would get up there and we'd play Nyoka, Queen of the Jungle.
Would you tie on a thing?
And Sheena, then Tarzan and Jane.
I loved Tarzan. I played Tarzan, and I met Johnny Weissmuller years later. It was one of the great thrills of my life.
I played Tarzan too.
Did you?
Yeah, my cousin Janice always played Jane because she was shorter and looked more like Jane, and I looked more like Tarzan. So, and that's how I learned to do the yell. And we'd mark off a whole thing on the lot. That was quicksand, and if you stepped on that, you were dead. You know, and then we'd hook up ropes or vines and swing across and yell and do all that. It was terrific.
To this day, I miss the swinging on those ropes.
Yeah.
I used to love to swing on
I was
those.
very athletic as a result, as a kid.
I look a little like Johnny Weissmuller, don't you find? Around what? I don't see how you can do a thing like that. Did you ever play Gibbon, Nebraska, way back in the old days of vaudeville?
What? I beg your pardon? Gibbon, Nebraska?
Gibbon, Nebraska. That's where I was born.
That's where you were born.
Yeah, that's where I saw my first movie.
What'd you see?
I don't remember, but it had cowboys in it, I remember, and I loved violence on the screen. I was so taken with violence, and when we used to, we used to play all that. Huh?
You don't now.
Even now, I love a violent movie.
Ooh.
It's a terrible thing to say,
I
of course, because one
cannot
is supposed to
stand
be
the
against
sight. I can't. Bambi makes me upset.
Bambi was a horrifying movie.
Yeah, I know. You know, when the
Kids I knew were traumatized
Yeah.
by Bambi when we saw it.
I
Kids
can't
taken out
see it.
screaming.
I
Really, when the hunter kills
kills the mother.
Bambi's mother, I don't even want to talk about it now.
I saw The Godfather, and I didn't see it. I think I saw parts. I was like this, you know, just looking kind of through, and I would just listen to it, and I couldn't see it.
Well, I don't like the violence
Watch
if it
it.
looks real, too real. There's one movie where Eli Wallach had his teeth beaten out on the floor in one of those Clint Eastwood films. That was a little much.
Well, I always liked the
But
westerns. They were
the
okay.
phony
They'd go
violence.
and they go and die. You know, now it's everything coming out.
I know. All over the place.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with everything coming out. I don't see nothing on the screen. Oh, there we are. What were you doing just then? What was that gesture?
When your stage manager was going 5, 4, 3, 2, I always go. When ours do it, it's
From
just
having
the
appeared in-
dynamite's going off. You know,
Yeah.
hopefully.
We hope the dynamite's there. Hey, did the movies when you were a kid, I don't want to dwell on this, but when you came out of the movies, did the streets seem less real to you than the movies had when you were in there? You remember that feeling?
Well, yeah. Usually, though, see, I went in the daytime, so I was blinded when I came out.
Oh, yeah, I remember
you know,
coming
that
from Hot
awful
Street.
thing, and yeah, everything seemed a little dirtier. Because, well, I loved all the musicals and the MGM things, and Gene Kelly singing in the rain and all that, and I wanted to go sing in the rain and jump in the puddles and.
You just reminded me of something. I remember, what's the one where Donald O'Connor does that little run up the
Singing in the
proscenium
rain.
wall
Singing
and
in
back
the
down?
rain.
I learned to do that, and I used to do it at
Can you
school
do
on the
that?
playground. Yeah, I can run against a wall and go up
All
2
the way up
steps,
and-
turn around, take 1 step down, and come down. But I don't feel like
That
it.
was, I think the number was Make 'em Laugh. I'm not sure.
That knocked me out.
Yeah.
That and Fred Astaire going over the chairs, you know,
Oh,
jumping
yeah.
up on the
I've
chairs.
done that. Harvey and I have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the show.
And those are still your real teeth, even though
These are still my real teeth.
you
Yeah.
can really get
I
hurt
wouldn't
doing
buy
that.
these.
You would? And you did? they're very lovely teeth.
Well, they're healthy.
Yeah.
I brush them. I have a tooth fetish, toothbrush fetish, I guess. I don't know. Every time I go into the John or pass the sink or any the teeth, so I haven't had a cavity in about 12 years.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, so maybe. Well, thank you, all you cavity. That's just my little Woodbury wedding note.
You may get a commercial out of this. Of doing
Well,
it.
I'm not saying what I brush with, but I do brush my teeth.
Hey, Carol, do you have...
Yeah, Dick.
Carol, do you have theories about comedy, any of that stuff? I mean, do you consciously know rules or anything, or does a little voice tell you what to do when you're on stage?
No theories. I think you can theory yourself right out of something, you know. I think...
Yeah.
Now I'm going to theorize. No, I don't have any theories. People say what makes people laugh. I think probably is the surprise element, what they might not expect. But I don't really go about it in that way on
You
our
don't
show.
consciously know before you rehearse a sketch on your show techniques you'll use. It just sort of comes to you as you
Well,
get into it?
some are very difficult. There are some sketches I really don't like that we have to go out and do, because I think the hardest job in the world is to be a comedy writer for a variety show, because they have to come up with 4 or 5 sketches, different characters. It's not like a situation comedy where they know, okay, we're writing for Agnes and this is what Agnes always says and always does.
Yeah.
But every week our writers have to sit down to a blank sheet of paper and it says be funny, and it's a whole new sketch. Well, you can't win them all. And consequently, there are many times when we have to go out and do something none of us are really in love with, just to really fill up the time. So you just gird yourself and try to fool yourself into thinking you love it a whole lot. When I do love it a whole lot, I never want to quit it. It's just great fun.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very difficult. And I'll find my character occasionally, no, a lot of times, not until the day we tape, Friday, when I get into the costume. I work really from the outside in.
Yeah.
If I know what I'm going to look like, sometimes it'll come to me. I was one time trying to get a voice. There's an old lady I do called Stella Toddler, and she's always being beaten up, and you know, it's really. Here I'm talking about how I hate violence, but this is phony violence.
Yeah.
And the first time I did her, I couldn't get a voice for her. I was talking up here, I thought, as people got old, and it just sounded high school time. So we were just about to go through our run-through, and I knew what I was going to look like. It was this tacky old gray wig and awful hat and dumb and padding and so forth. And I went to the John on the 2nd floor at CBS and just into the cubicle just to sit, to be alone, and trying to work on this voice. And I'm going, well, yeah, I think, I think that's going to work. Yeah, maybe I'll do a little bit of that. That's a little bit like Gabby Hayes, you know. So I think like that. And then, so I felt, well, hey, that's it. I'll go lower in the voice. And I'm sitting there just talking. And I came out, and there were 3 women just standing there. And I'd been in there.
Wondering
and they'd been
what was in there.
listening to me.
How do you cover that? Do you just...
I didn't even wash my hands.
And then they talked about that.
Yeah, they said, my God, that woman's bananas. But sometimes that's the only place I can be alone.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes.
Now you live, do you live in the old Betty Grable house?
Yes.
In California?
Yes, yes.
Are there mementos or mementi of Betty Grable around?
No. God love her. She was on our show the first year we were on, and she came to see our house and had a drink with us and walked through, and she got very teary-eyed, and it was just a thrill to see her in the house and that we lived there, because she was one of my favorites and a wonderful woman.
Was she?
Oh, funny sense of humor, and she was never this movie star kind of a lady. She said, listen, I know what it's like and so forth, and she worked very hard and never took the stardom she had that seriously.
I never met her, of course, but I certainly remember her well. Did she
Lovely
die of
lady.
lung cancer?
Yes,
And she was a heavy smoker?
yes.
I always feel we owe it to the cigarette companies to mention that,
Yes.
for all the money they've spent over the years encouraging everybody in this country to smoke. How many fillings do you have?
Fillings? I have quite a few because the first time I ever went to a dentist, I was about 10. And so he filled 9 of them at once. Then I bit him when he was going for the 10th one. And that's about it.
Were you a good student
Yeah.
at school?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But yes, I think so. I was very quiet. I was about a B plus average.
How much education have you got? Some college, I know.
About a year and a half of UCLA. I went there. And
Do you wish you had more in any sense? Do you ever wish you
oh,
back,
sure.
or?
No, I wouldn't go back to school. I'm having too much fun, and I think the big education for what I'm doing is I'm still learning, you know, with what I do. But I learned a great deal at UCLA, majoring in theater arts. But everything I learned before that that had nothing to do with theater sure comes in handy. And a lot of people, kids, ask me, you know, well, should I finish school or should I go to college, or, you know, what, I want to be an actor. What does that mean? What do I have to know? But everything you know comes in handy.
Can you remember moments back then when you first realized, hey, I know how to get a laugh in front of a crowd of people? I can remember very early experiences where I got a laugh and it felt professional in some way. It seemed to foreshadow something that was going to happen. I've forgotten now how to do it. But I used to. Do you remember? Did you have childhood experiences where you?
Well, just when we would play the movies, but we all laughed at each other. But in school, I was very quiet, and I was interested in journalism. My mother wanted me to be a writer, and so I never really kidded around that much. A lot of the people I went to Hollywood High with were very shocked when, you know, a few years later they saw me on the Ed Sullivan Show. They said, "That's not the Carol that I went to school," because
you were serious?
yeah, I wasn't crazy when I was in school.
Did you always have dates? Was adolescence any painful for you?
Yes, yes. My
me too.
adolescence was very painful.
Your voice is still changing?
Yes, it is. Well, yeah, we'd have sock hops and prom night, or, you know, whatever, Friday nights. Every Friday night at Hollywood High, one of the you know, kids would have a band, and I'd go and I'd dance with my girlfriend.
Oh.
Or we'd play ping pong in the game room. You know, that was it, really, mostly. And then the guys that did ask me to dance had pimples. And bad breath, and they couldn't keep time, you know.
But at least you could dance with your girlfriend. I was similar to you, but two guys
You
dance
couldn't
at
dance,
the in those days in high school. I
Well,
know
you
things
could
have
today,
changed now,
you know,
yeah.
it's,
But remember back then in the Victorian era when we were young? We're about the same age, aren't we?
I think I'm a little older than you are. We'll drop that.
We'll be right back after a message from our local station. Well, we are back.
Why, yeah, why? You're chewing a honey drop, and I'll chew some ice.
You know what? I don't know what to say about this, but I have a compulsion that developed within the past year to sing occasionally with a guest. I don't know why I put myself through it. It's going to give me ulcers. It scares me to death to sing on television.
It scares me too.
Not really. Oh, you mean to sing with me?
No, to sing alone.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have.
You'll have to forgive her, Her Majesty. She's,
I love ice.
Ice, and very few calories in it,
I
too.
love
It's
it.
good
Yeah, that's
for-
true.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's something. I don't know.
What does that do now? Is that good for your voix?
No, it's probably very bad for it, but I just love to chew ice. When I was 21,
It's awful hard on your teeth.
a friend of mine, it's not, I haven't had a cavity in 12 years. A friend of mine, when I was 21, gave me a 100-pound sack of crushed ice.
Oh,
He said, have fun.
Dentists are fainting all over America now.
I'm sure, but I just love it.
Yeah.
Yes, you were going to talk about singing.
Yes, why don't we... Now there is a number that we just sort of looked over earlier.
Yes,
And I'm not afraid if you're not. I am afraid, whether you're afraid or not. But I mean,
well, look, let's
give it
plunge
a
ahead
blast.
and do it.
It's,
Which one?
I hope neither Fred Astaire nor Ginger Rogers is watching. It's that,
Oh, Lord.
it's from Swing Time, I think.
Yes.
Or Dorothy Fields, who wrote the lyrics.
A fine romance.
A fine romance. Are you
Yes.
game, Carol, on these people's time?
I'm game to do anything with you, Richard, that you ask.
Wait a minute, may I hear that offer again? Let's move the set back in that case and be alone.
What a classy show. You're going to move the set?
Now watch this. We got everything. Either that or move
Do
the
we stay? Oh, my God.
waltz. Dee Dee. What we do is we step over here.
I don't think our song can follow the set moving. It's terrific. We're really going to do this.
Let's just have a go. And
Okay.
if we screw it up, we stop and,
right.
and go home. That's what we do.
Right. Or the audience goes.
Okay.
A fine romance with no kisses. A fine romance, my friend. This is. We should be like a couple of hot tomatoes. You're as cold as yesterday's mashed potatoes.
A fine romance you won't nestle. A fine romance you won't wrestle. You're just as hard to land as the Ile de France. I haven't got a chance.
This is a fine romance.
A fine romance, my good woman, my strong, aged in the wood. Woman, you're calmer than the seals in the Arctic Ocean.
At least they clap their fins to express emotion. Oh, here we go. A fine romance. A fine romance with no hitches.
I might as well play bridge with my old maid Anne. I haven't got a chance.
This is a fine romance. A fine romance, my good fellow. You take, hey, great romance, and I'll take Jello. True love should have the thrills that a healthy crime has.
We don't have half the thrills that the March of Time has. A fine romance, my dear Duchess, to old fogies who need crutches. You've never mussed the crease in my blue serge pants.
I never get the chance. This is a fine romance.
Listen, in the interest of balance, how many want to yell less, less?
That was
Hey.
really terrible.
That was... We didn't make
It
hardly a
was fun,
single
though.
mistake.
It was fun. You're fun. Hey, we could go out on tour.
You left out a line. I had to sing your line.
Well, I did it on purpose to give you confidence.
Oh, that was funny. I think they do want more. Do you think we ought to, I love that. Why don't we do a little sweet song like that thing you mentioned earlier?
Okay.
Since that up tune has obviously exhausted you because of the difference in our ages.
Yeah, but we have the same measurements.
Is that joke against or for me? I don't understand that. Let's sit down there.
Okay.
Or we could sit here, I suppose. Is this a little too cute to sit down here? They always do that at
let's
stage.
be cute.
And then they paint little
Yeah,
freckles
little
on their faces and all of that.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Everything okay?
Okay, Father?
The audience at home will think there isn't a priest sitting there, and there is.
Oh, this is good.
A little downlighting.
Yeah.
Here we are, out of cigarettes, holding hands and yawning, look how late it gets. Two sleepy people by dawn's early light, and too much in love to say goodnight. Here we are, in the cozy chair, picking on a wishbone from the frigid air. Two sleepy people with nothing to say, and too much in love to break away.
Do you remember the nights we used to linger in the hall? Father didn't like you at all. Do you remember the reason why we married in the fall?
To rent this little nest and get a bit of rest. Well, here we are, just about the same.
A foggy little fella,
A drowsy little dame, two sleepy people by dawn's early light, and too much in love to say goodnight.
Now listen. Second, please.
your eyes are
Are
shining.
glazed.
They're
I know,
but
it's
they're
the sense
shining.
of power. It's exhilarating to sing a song, and it's all I ever wanted to be.
You ought to do a musical.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, seriously? What sort?
I think you'd need a little more rehearsal.
I gotta tell you, we've done an unforgivable thing to you.
What? Ask
This
me on.
afternoon,
What is this?
no. Carol came here this afternoon because, at the very last minute, I mean this evening, tonight, whatever it is, because she's rehearsing something else. And we came down and we ran through the lyrics once. We might as well admit that, because it certainly doesn't show. And your reaction to when you first heard me, is that on there? Oh, we don't have. Okay, here's a little bit.
You
Here's a little
tape
bit
that?
of tape. You just take a look at that and see if anything. You did things then that you haven't done.
Oh.
You didn't do that.
Romance you won't
Dick.
You're just as hard to land as the Ile de France. I haven't got a chance.
This is a fine romance.
A fine romance, my good woman, my strong faith in the wood. Woman, the Arctic cold.
They flap their fins to express emotion. I was blessed with the double-jointed hip.
It's truly incredible. You should all come up here and feel her hip. It's astounding. I've never known another woman who could do
You
that.
told me your
Ba-dum.
wife can do that.
Oh, that's right. As a matter of fact, she can.
Yeah.
The two of you could
It's
get
the-
together
I
and it
have
would
you
sound
on
like
the- on the
artillery
left.
going.
It's just the right one. It just goes out of sight.
What if it's
And
stuck
it
that
won't go
way?
back in. No, it did get stuck once when I was a kid for about 5 minutes.
That'll teach you. Boy, I wish I could do that. I'm going to practice. We'll be right back. Stay with me. Apparently, they taped even more of us than we know. There was a little bit of piece ahead of that. I had forgotten, but when you came in, we did the one run through.
Yeah.
Your first reaction to my voice was the thing I was remembering.
I'll never forget my reaction. You take that too.
Yeah. Why don't you run that? And if it's, well, let's take a look at that. Is it rolling at the moment?
I feel like water.
This is really a dirty trick. Will we be sued by Alan Funt for this? I hope not. Okay, here it is. Anyway, I say throw it right.
See, I don't sing.
A fine romance with no kisses. A fine romance, my friend. This is. We should be like a couple of hot tomatoes. You're as cold as yesterday's mashed potatoes.
A fine
that's
No,
that's
that was sheer joy. That was,
yes. That's surely amusing.
no, it was just the joy of bubbling out, hearing you.
That's like the moment I did my line for Katharine Hepburn, and she said, "Is that the way you said it?"
Oh, dear.
And, oh, brother, I'm sorry. I'm glad I didn't see that before we sang. Thanks, Carol. Oh, boy. Hey,
Huh.
do you ever get the actor's dream?
Yes. I know exactly what you're going
I
to say.
still get it. And I used to act in stock and as a kid. And so
Not coming out and forgetting your lines, or
I'm wondering-
being in a play that you don't know anything about, and
why
they
didn't I
push you
come to
out there.
rehearsal? Why didn't I learn any of my lines? What
I feel
is
that well, it's insecurity, I would imagine, and
Yeah.
so I've never been
I wonder if Freud spoke of
head
that.
shrunk. I don't know, but there's got to be some insecurity there. I'm bananas right now because I'm learning this. It's a marvelous play.
How do you say the title of that?
6 Rooms View, and it's means 6 rooms river view, and it's a classified ad in New York. And Alan Alda and I are in town now taping it for television
Why
by
in New
Bob
York?
Randall. Why
Seems
in New
odd,
York?
because most people go out to L.A. to tape.
Well, because it really is a New York-oriented show,
Yeah.
and it's about a young couple who meet looking for an apartment, and they're married but not to each other. It's a warm comedy about adultery.
For the whole
What I call it.
family.
And it's a marvelous comedy. It's lovely and poignant, and Alan Alda staged it. And he's a wonderful actor to work with. My God, he's just sensational. Clark Jones is camera directing. It's a great play. Bob Randall, it was his first play. And we're having fun. We're doing it right down the street.
It'll be on television.
Yes,
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. You have the most beautiful legs of, I think, some of the most beautiful legs I think I've ever seen. I mean, you know when you do. You do.
Thank you.
They're the best legs on this network.
Well, that's very nice.
No, really. And there's a lot about you that I really dig.
Well, you
And,
started at the legs. That's very nice.
I don't know.
Thank you.
How have you escaped analysis all these years? Almost everybody in show business.
Well, I couldn't afford it when I started out, and when I became successful, I didn't need it.
Simple as that.
I mean, you know, I think us people in show business are the luckiest that there are because we chose it. And there are no want ads for actors. Everybody who's in it really should love it. You know, that's why they're in it.
It's something about the way you do it, though. There are plenty of miserable people in the business, but there's something about your...
I think they'd be miserable if they were plumbers, you know.
That may be.
You're just some miserable and some happy people. Most of the people I know in show business are pretty terrific, and especially
least
some
like-
of the biggies.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief.
Yes, James
Yeah.
Stewart is one of the. He's like he is.
Lucy is quite nice.
Lucy's terrific.
Sound like an
That's
old radio.
probably Lucy laughing at me.
You know, it sounded a little like...
Yeah.
But there are some nice people, but there are some true swine in our business.
Yeah. Well, it attracts it.
Do you want to name a few of your favorite
Name a
swine?
few. Porky Pig.
But you... no, I meant, there's something about the way you do it. My wife was talking about... my wife and Kate Reed, the actress, or the other actress, I should say, were talking about how there's something about the theater. They've both made movies, and they don't like making movies. In the theater, there's a camaraderie among actors. You go out afterwards and talk about the play or how it went. And I get that feeling from the little I was around your TV show, that time I came out and surprised you.
Yes, I remember.
That there's that feeling around your show that's more like a play or a repertory of actors who
Yes.
work closely together
Well,
than there is on most TV shows. So it's probably, your life is more pleasant than a lot of people.
It's terrific. We don't put in all the hours that people do making film television.
Yeah.
We do tape, and we rehearse all week, and then shoot in front of an audience like you're doing here, and go straight through and change costumes as fast as we can without stopping. And we never do pickups or never redo anything. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
I like that quality.
And
of that.
it's more of a live feeling, and we go home, you know. And so that helps. And so I'm home more than I am at work, really.
I always read in things about you, about your problems with your parents as a kid, but I never hear the details of it. Do you mind talking to some about
No.
that if I were to ask you about it? Let us take a message. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Oh, I'll be along there. We're back. There's a thing that comes up in most pieces about you, and it concerns your parents and the subject of liquor.
Yes.
And I gather your parents were both alcoholic.
Yes, they were.
Have you? I've never heard you talk about this much. And
Well,
I don't want to pry if it's not any of my or anybody's business, but there are things to learn, I guess, from that. So.
Yes, I didn't live with them that long. I lived with my grandmother mostly. But my dad drank ever since I could remember. My mother didn't. And then she just started drinking to keep him company.
Yeah.
And then she became an alcoholic, and then they split up. And I was living with my grandmother. My mother was living across the hall from us in an apartment in Hollywood with my kid sister. And I would see him on weekends. He did go on the wagon for a year or so when my grandmother, his mother, was ill. And that was a terrific time with my dad, to see him totally sober for a whole year, year and a half.
Yeah.
He was a kind drunk. My mother was a nasty drunk. But she was funny, had a great sense of humor, and used to sit and drink and play the ukulele in the kitchen and sing songs. And I don't think it really affected me that much. I don't turn down a drink. I will have a drink, but I will certainly never be an alcoholic. I know sometimes they say it's inherited, but I had a good childhood in spite of that, because all my friends, none of us had any money, and we all went to the movies and played the games, and they all had their problems. In fact, a couple of my close girlfriends, their fathers were drunks, and I didn't know at the time it is a disease. It's nothing to be, shunned or anything. I only wish, if I had one wish, that they had lived long enough until I was making enough money to cure them, because I think they had just lost their goals in life, and they just found it in the bottle. And if I could have just had enough to take care of them, and I don't know what to do, send them someplace, dry them out, or give them something to look forward to,
Gee, I can't imagine anything more frightening for a kid than to see your parents out of control.
Well, I had my grandmother, my mother's mother, and she was a character, and I could go any place I wanted to or do anything I wanted, really. They never checked on me. My grandmother, I'd say, well, I'm going over to Isla Mae's house, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. But I'd go to Isla Mae's house, and I'd be back tomorrow morning. I wouldn't go fool around or anything. I drew a lot, and...
Does a kid blame himself somehow secretly, or are there instances of maybe you're the cause of it? I suppose that sounds a bit too pat and psychoanalytic.
No, I've never blamed myself for it. That was their problem, I was just sorry that I couldn't help them.
Did you ever plead with them to cut it out?
Oh, yeah. Sure. You can't plead to... The family can't, I don't think. It has to come... They have to do it themselves, and they have to realize they've hit the bottom. And
what about AA, something like that? Did they ever...
That's fine for some people. I think it's wonderful. And there's another place I know, Shadle, in Washington, where it's the physical thing that they're absolutely allergic to alcohol, and they give them a whole lot and make them regurgitate, and it's a whole treatment that some people go through that
kind
has
of a
worked.
shock
Yeah,
method?
they retrain you to be a non-drinker, which is one way. AA is a beautiful way too.
How did you explain? You have a younger sister. It must have been
Chris,
a little
yeah. Oh,
frightening
well,
for
all
her.
she knew my mother was when she was loaded. My kid sister, she was, but she wasn't, I said before, a nasty drunk. That was only if somebody crossed her, because she had a very quick tongue and would really let you have it. But other than that, she was very funny and very pretty up until the end. Yeah. And then, of course, all bloated and everything. It was a pity, because they both died at the age of 46.
Same.
Not the same.
Oh,
She was
same
4
age.
years younger. And they were both beautiful-looking people.
And they never saw any of your success, or...
My mother saw me do one Ed Sullivan show, and my dad never did see me work, no.
Were you close to them up till the end?
Yes, I kidnapped my kid sister from my mother.
Yeah.
She was 12, and I went home and visited my mother, and I saw that my kid sister was going in the wrong direction, I felt, and was not being supervised. And so I talked to my mother in kind of a sober moment, and I said, let me bring Chris back to New York with me and tell her it's just for Christmas. And I said, but I want to keep her. And she said, okay. And I brought her back, and then she thought she was going to go back to school, and I wouldn't let her go, and she got hysterical. She was 12. Oh, I have to go back. My life is there in California. I said, please stay with me. And she called my mother and so forth.
Yeah.
My mother said, stay with Carol. It'll be better. And Chris said she would, and then our mother died 10 days later.
Gee.
Yeah, so I guess she then knew Chris would be all right.
Yeah. Do you see in any of this, do you buy the old idea that the theater or the stage or the television or the show business is the refuge of the unhappy child? You know,
I've
that
heard
theory?
that a whole lot. But as I say, I
Well, you
was
were
not
happy.
unhappy.
Yeah.
I had my little fantasies going, you know.
Yeah.
I could be Tarzan and Sheena. And
Yeah. I guess there could be a counter theory too, that the happy child goes into show business because it's the only place you can get the kind of
yeah.
affection
yeah,
maybe, or the kind of attention, or the same rush of fantasy, or whatever you said.
Oh, I think you tap anybody's brain when they're little and they're going to want to go into show business. It's just fun.
Yeah. Do you insist your kids don't drink as a result of the? Did
No.
you say?
Well, they're 10, 5, and 7, so
In France, they could be alcoholics. at that
probably,
age.
yeah.
Yeah. Gee. Well, we'll be back after this message from our local station. You made one serious, semi-serious picture, and I just wondered if you feel, because you're so branded as a comedian, are there classics you'd like to play in Chekhov, Ibsen,
Oh,
things
no,
like that?
no,
Because you're such a
no.
good actress. And you're
No,
really,
well, thank you. No, I don't feel the need for doing anything.
Yeah.
Pete and Tilly was very serious. In fact, it was too
Bittersweet.
serious. I felt I wasn't pleased with myself in it. I was so worried that in the first part of the film, people would think, because it's Walter Matthau and me
Where are the
meeting on a
rats?
blind date, where, you know, that if I would so much as go, that they'd think it's a sketch. So I so underplayed her that I don't know why the hell he ever asked her out for a second date. I was so dull, you know.
Yeah.
And so I was very aware of being so in, you know.
and shedding everything.
Yeah, and I felt very stiff in it. I'd love another crack at a film after I learned a lot from the director, Marty Ritt, and of course Walter,
You'll get other offers.
and all.
So you have influence in Hollywood. Where does Robert Redford keep getting all of my movie roles?
He keeps getting all of mine.
I nearly had Gatsby done, and then he comes out with his
You'd have been a
version.
good Gatsby.
Would I?
Yeah, let's do that next
All right.
time. Huh?
Okay.
I'll be Mia Farrow,
All right.
and you
Do
be
that.
Robert Redford. That's a pair. If we could do a fine romance, we can do anything.
Yes, I think by the time the record of Fine Romance
Yeah.
sells out, we'll be.
Well, I know
Let's-
I'm going to buy it.
Should we, I can't wait to hear it myself. Should we let the audience ask you questions? You'd like to do that on your show, I know. Why not? Yes. Can we see an actual person? Just put up your hand and I'll repeat the question. The guy in the red turtleneck. Yes, you, sir.
I know it's been.
Or it's not a turtleneck. It's a red sweater.
I know it's said many times, but as much as you underplay yourself on TV, I think you're a beautiful woman.
Well, I'm sure glad he
He thinks-
called on you. That's very nice.
Oh, there's a guy who thinks. I told you that years ago. Man thinks you're beautiful. Person behind him. Yes.
Now that he's out of work, is it true that Sparrow Agnew might be a regular on your show next year?
Is it true that Sparrow Agnew may be a regular on your show?
We're considering him.
If he declines, I
Yeah.
volunteer.
Oh, you volunteer? Well, we're holding an audition next week to see if he can sing as well as Dick.
I think we know the answer to that. Yes, sir. Man, way up.
Now that you're in show business, are the parties you go to any different than before you were successful?
No, they're about the same, I find. Oh, was that for you?
The
Now
parties,
that you're in show business, are the parties that you go to about the same
as the parties
as
I
the
went to
parties
before.
that you went to?
Well, but we don't go to that many parties. I really don't. I like to go home and we eat early with the kids, and that sounds awfully goody two-shoes. The difference when we do go to a party is usually it's in a house and a nice big house, as opposed to when I lived in New York, it was some little ramshackle apartment or something, you know, our friends. But we play games. I mean, real games, nice games. We play charades and running charades, and we play treasure hunt and things like that. Those are the most fun parties.
Well, come on, Carol. We know your life is riddled with vice.
Well, that's it. I'm not telling you what we're looking for in the treasure hunt, but...
You dare not. Yeah, the lady there.
Carol, one of the impersonations you do, I think, is funnier than the real person. Could you do a little bit of Charo?
Charo,
Oh, that's hard to be asked.
I love her. You know, she's really a terrific girl. And
You were asked to do a little of Charo in case they
Charo,
missed it.
yes.
I don't know how you can leap into things like
it's
that.
It's hard to do it since my navel isn't showing. But I don't know. She comes in and just goes, all I ever do is, whoa, 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 whoa. Sit down, and she always says,
I do something bad?
I do something nice.
The man is a man in a tie, and yeah.
Carol, is it true? Is there any truth to the rumors that they said about you having problems with censors doing the Nixon bit that you used to do on your show?
Any trouble? Any truth rumor that you had,
That I had
censor problems with a sketch about the first family of the United States or
Well,
something?
we had done the Johnsons, and then we did the Nixons. And there was some flack about, I don't really get into it that much myself. And the only reason really we stopped doing the Nixons was that there wasn't that much to latch onto in terms of... It was more fun for me to do Lady Bird, you know, because I'm from Texas, and she was very
Yes.
out. Hi, y'all, come on back, you know, all that. So we could really, get energy with it. And with the Nixons, it was, a lot of that. And so we
By the
really
way,
just stopped.
in the interest of balance, I should add that there are those who... there are those who feel that with the Nixons there's a lot to latch on to, and that they have latched onto a lot.
That was bad.
Or words to that effect. Yes, ma'am.
If you had to choose another profession tomorrow, what would it be?
If you had another profession to choose tomorrow, what would it be? How would you... Can you be happy
Yes.
somewhere else in another life?
I wouldn't be quite as happy as I am now, but I would be a school teacher, and I would choose probably the 3rd, 4th, or 5th grades. No, don't do it. There's a school teacher. No way.
What?
No way.
Yeah, there's a school
I love
teacher
kids that
gesturing
age.
like that.
I just,
Yes, sir.
pardon me?
Yeah, he said, how did you get on the Gary Moore show?
I knew Gary. I had been on his morning show, one of my very first jobs. I auditioned for him, and he put me on his morning show, and then when he got the nighttime show, I was a guest a couple of times, and then I was asked to be regular.
You want to do another one? Some... Okay, yeah.
Oh, wow.
How do you like living on the fault in California? I wonder about that. Does that make people upset out there who know
Well,
that
when
they're...
it shakes, it makes you upset, yeah. That big one we had, when was it, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, my God. 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, I knew what it was because I'd been raised out there. And my husband and I got up without saying a word. I headed for our baby's room. She was 2.
Yeah.
And he headed for the other 2 girls' rooms. And she was standing in her crib like this, shaking like this. And
Holding it?
Yeah, holding the crib, and I walked in, and she said, "Good morning, Mom." And I said, "Good morning," and I picked her up to take her in the other room so we could all die together. And as I'm walking by her closet, she says, "I want to wear my pink dress."
Yes, sir.
I think a lot of people want to hear the Tarzan yell.
Oh, the Tarzan
Oh,
yell.
that's a good one to get off on. For those who don't know what this is, who are new to our country, this is the Tarzan yell. After this message, we'll be right back. Talking with Carol Burnett. You're going to do a book about your life. Whether you want to or not, you're a classic American success story.
Well, I'd like to wait.
Wait a while.
Well, yeah. haven't really lived.
How poor were you back then as a kid?
We were so poor that.
The mice were hunchbacked.
Well,
that's a tasteless old joke. You
yeah,
remember that? It's an old
my
vaudeville.
room was so small that the mice walked around hunchback. Yeah. That was about how poor we were. Well, my grandmother and I lived in a one-room apartment on Wilcox and Yucca in Hollywood.
Yucca?
Yucca, Y-U-C-C-A, and with a Murphy pull-down bed, I slept on the couch, and my closet was the bathroom shower rack. Because my grandmother was a pack rat. She would save peanut butter jars, and everything was in the closet. And so I'd hang my clothes on the shower rack. Consequently, nobody could ever take a shower, and then you'd push them away when you wanted to take a bath. They were always well steamed. But if a fella came over and wanted to use the bathroom, I'd always tell him it was out of order and send him to the Shell station. I never wanted him to see my apartment because my grandmother was a very messy housekeeper, and I was embarrassed. So we'd sit in the lobby of the hotel and talk, you know, but never in the house. I wouldn't bring anybody in.
Can you isolate what do I want to say here, the source of your ambition or desire to succeed or anything other than just liking the business? Does it have to do with any kind of insecurities or any of this so-called?
Oh, wow. Shall I lie down and we'll talk about this for 5 years?
I'd like to.
I was never very turned on by the idea of being a journalist, although my mother tried. She wrote a little bit herself, and she said no matter how old you get or what you look like, you can always write, you know. So I thought, well, that makes sense. So then when I went to UCLA, something drew me into taking an acting course. And I got up, and nobody knew me, and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I heard them laugh, and where they were supposed to, and that was the biggest thrill and turn-on for me. And I went home, and I said, I'm going to be an actress. And my mother took another drink. She said, you're crazy, you know. What do you think you can be an actress? I said, no, I know it. I feel it. They laughed. She said, of course they laughed. I said, no, they were supposed to, you know. And I then was just so gung-ho about it and wanting to get to New York. I wanted to be, I didn't know I had a loud voice until it just kind of happened, because I'd always talked softly as a kid. A friend of mine said, can you carry a tune on the campus? And I said, yeah. And he said, would you be in the chorus of a scene from South Pacific we're doing? I said, sure, you know. So we did Wash That Man Right Out of My Hair, and I was in the chorus, and I was so loud. He took me out, and he and I did a scene from Guys and Dolls, and I did Adelaide's Lament. And then I realized that it was musical comedy. It was just all kind of happening. And then I wanted to be Ethel Merman. You know, and be on Broadway.
If you had to leave the business, would you, well, now, this is a silly thing to say, is why would you have to leave the business? You're not going to get voted out of it or something like that.
Well, some people are, you know.
Would you fight to stay in it?
I don't know. I'm not, I'm very thin-skinned, and if people just go at me, I'll shrink, I'll go away. Yeah. I don't want to, I'm not a fighter, too. I've been very lucky because I'm not a pusher. The things that have happened to me have been very fortunate, and I was at the right place at the right time. Yeah. You know, I came here, and I went, and I did auditions, and I checked hats at a ladies' tea room. How many ladies check their hats, you know? That's how bright I was. And I made all the rounds and did the auditions and got turned down and things like that. But I don't think any kid coming to New York or going to Hollywood ever thinks they're going to fail, or they wouldn't strike out to do this, you know. But I did set a time limit for myself.
That's interesting. I did too.
Yeah.
And if I don't get somewhere by the time it's gone, I'm going to get out of this business. No, I think I was 2 years, but then I extended it. You can always vote yourself a new time limit.
Mine's 50. I'm just, 50 years I'm going to give myself. No, it was 5 years. And if I wasn't earning a living, and I expected, to me to be earning a living would have been I would have been very happy to be in the chorus of a Broadway show.
Just to hear that music and be out on the stage.
Yeah.
There's something about it.
I was almost in one, and they didn't accept me because I can't read music. And then I got a job as a lead in something else. Yeah. which was terrific. If I'd read music, maybe that's where it would have ended for me.
You'd be back there checking
Now, I'm
those-
not saying don't learn to read music, but it was a weird thing.
Yeah. Is there anything you fear you won't get to do in life, like, I don't know what, see Lenin's tomb or the pyramids or have quintuplets or I don't know what? You know,
Ah,
mine has to do with travel. I feel there are places
Travel.
I want to get. I don't know why exactly.
mind expansion, I think, is very interesting. I would like to have the time, take the time.
Do you
Someday
mean
I
by
will.
chemical means?
Oh, no.
No, no.
No. Ugh, no.
No.
With your own
I know you
equipment.
do some yoga.
Mhm.
That's worked nicely for you. or
It
whatever.
sure has.
Yeah.
I'm just starting, and I've never felt better in my life.
How do you know you're getting into a good, it's important to have a good yoga, isn't it? Is that what you call as man or woman, is the yoga?
Well,
Or the
actually,
yogi.
the
Yogi,
lady
I
who instructs me doesn't consider herself that. She's my teacher,
Yeah.
and we have a little class at home, and I've been doing it just for 3 months now. It was a result of an old neck injury that started me doing it to kind of get back in shape, and it's worked wonders. And I've gotten very turned on by the whole idea of it. It's the Hatha yoga, which is the exercises and the breathing.
What's the word?
Hatha.
H-A-T-H-A?
H-A-T-H-A, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't gone into the meditation, but I may. Because I've never seen people, everyone I know who has done this and stuck with it, they have a very special, wonderful glow about them, and the side effects are good health.
It's supposed to be excellent for
And,
your health. Yeah. How about sleep? Does it affect your sleep? Have you ever been an insomniac?
Yes.
Have you?
I am sleeping better, and my neck thing is much better. I don't get the headaches I was getting from just the exercise and the breathing alone. I can calm myself down by the proper breathing exercise.
What did you do when you had insomnia? I've had a few times, and it's just murder when
Oh.
you have it.
Well, sometimes, when I lived in New York, I got up and glamorined the rug.
But if
That
you have
put
no
me
rug-
out right there, the fumes, you know, and sometimes get up and write letters, get up, take a hot bath. None of it works, you know.
I find getting up and doing something does help,
Something,
though.
yeah.
Just lying there and fighting it is
Now
insane.
I get up and stand on my head.
Let's see how you do
Well,
it.
not in this.
In the studio?
In this studio or in
Not-
this
you wouldn't do it in
dress?
this? Oh, in the dress. Oh, yeah, of course. Be silly.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking.
It's a terrific feeling being upside down.
I can do that headstand, but
Can you?
yeah.
It's wonderful because you get takes 30 seconds for your blood to completely circulate from being upside down, and you really feel quite good and awake and revived afterwards.
I once cured a headache. I don't know if it would always work. I'm afraid to find out again that it wouldn't. But once I felt one coming on, and I did that headstand for a few minutes. Well, anyway.
You have to learn the right way, though. Don't go home and try to do it unless somebody shows you.
Yeah,
the
you
right
can
way.
you
could
can
hurt your
wreck
neck.
yourself
Yeah.
and wreck your neck and all kinds of things. Were there books that were important to you as a kid?
Oh, The Yearling.
The Yearling.
The Yearling. My 6th grade teacher read that to us, and I'll never forget it. And she read it with such emotion that it meant more to me than reading Hamlet later on in college.
Yeah.
There was a warmth about the family. The kid's name in it was Jody, which was my dad's name, and is also my middle daughter's name now. And I don't know, I just identified with that. And when it opened as a movie, I was the first one in line to see it. It was the first time I ever went to a first-run house. I saved my money up to see it at the Egyptian Theater. Isn't that funny?
The
Yes,
Yearling.
The Yearling. Now, why? I don't, you know.
I was a big Winnie the Pooh man.
Winnie the Pooh. Well, see, I never got those. Oh, fairy tales, grim fairy tales, I loved.
They didn't scare you.
No, they didn't. They were pretty frightening, though. They
Yeah.
were.
Burning the old lady and pushing
they
her into
would
the
do all
oven.
kinds of gross
all
things.
kinds
like
of nice
that,
things for
yeah.
kids.
But then what I would do, I would draw a fairy tale. I would draw them. I wanted to draw also, be an artist. And that was a big pastime with me. Pencil and paper, sketching.
If you went back to college now, a liberal arts school of some kind, what would you want to study?
Music. Music. I'd love to now study piano, dance. Oh, God, I am the worst. Any time I have to do a step on our show, if you could really see my eyes, they're just absolutely, I'm like that. For the whole week, I worry about some dumb step or something that, instead of the sketches. I'm so tied up about that.
I couldn't even social dance as a kid. I held the black belt in dancing. I actually hurt people when I danced. Yeah, quite often.
You mean you hurt them when they watch you or when you're with them?
No, well, it hurt them emotionally, but I would
Step on
you know, give them a crick in the shoulder and things like that.
Well, just don't tango.
I shan't. Here we are.
I think he's really turned on that.
We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Might be dumb. Huh?
We're back. We have almost no time left. This has been very pleasant.
I want to thank you. I'm very. Yes, I watch it.
In a minute left. What do you love about me?
Your sex appeal and your brains.
And my singing. What about that?
Oh, I forgot. Your singing.
Thank you. This is as painless an evening as I can ever remember.
I enjoyed it, and I love your audience. They were just wonderful. Thank you.
People have great affection for you. So do I. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night. Thank you, Phil.